right, Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachakodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to you, sincere Akim out there pushing the truth across the four corners of the earth. In sincerity. Hey, Shalom to all you brothers out there. And real quick, the elders and apostles were putting their spirit in the air to go in on these images, to discuss these different images, because a picture basically it says 1,000 words. And I ended up going over to the art museum, which for me is the St. Louis Art Museum. Of course, you have art museums all over the United States, which is basically Amalek. They go into these different nations, they steal their art, they steal their idols, and or they'll pay for them, and then they put them in their little exhibit, for people to see and to discuss. And basically they take all of the pictures, the pieces, that have a certain spiritual resonance with them. And this particular piece is one that I saw at my art museum. It's called The Genius of America. The Genius of America. And it used to, just some quick info on it. It used to be in, I'm gonna pull it up, matter of fact, the full picture. It used to be in the New York Art Museum. Lord willing, you can still see that. But it used to be in the New York Art Museum. Then somehow, some way, it came over to St. Louis Art Museum. And as you can see, it's full of symbolism. This is something that was created in the 1800s as well. All right, this picture says 1,000,000 words. All right, because if you just take a minute to decode it, because the images, taking apart these images is very important. And you got, let's get to it. Let's hop into a couple of scriptures, and Lord willing, to be edifying for you. This is 1 Maccabees 3 and 45. It said, "Now Jerusalem lay void as a wilderness. There was none of her children that went in or out. The sanctuary also was trodden down, and aliens kept the stronghold. The heathen had their habitation in that place, and joy was taken from Jacob, and the pipe with the harp ceased." Yeah, joyness has ceased because the temple of Jerusalem, Jerusalem as well as the temple, was sacked. "Wherefore the Israelites assembled themselves together and came to Mashpah over against Jerusalem, for in Mashpah was the place where they prayed aforetime in Israel. Then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth and cast ashes upon their heads and rent their clothes, and laid open the book of the law, wherein heathens had sought to paint the likeness of their images." And we know, of course, this is the story of the Maccabees goes on to talk about basically the war of the Israelites against the Greeks, who came in, and Alexander had died, and then his 4 generals took over, and then of course we were under the rule of we were under the rule of the name escapes me, Salaki. Well, it's gonna come back though. We were under the rule. We were under the rule of the Epiphanes, and you had Antiochus and his different lineage that were ruling over us. All right, and basically what happened was Esau had gained power, and this is exactly what happened. Esau had gained, the birthright that he had begged Isaac for the birthright of rulership over the earth was given to Jacob. Well, this is the Esau also received the birthright too, and he was given rule over us because we were going after the images. So we know, according to the scriptures and through history, different historians as well, Esau basically he took down the Persian Empire, just like in the movie 300. They showed they was warring against the Persians. Well, he took down the Persians. All right, and they were granted control of the earth, and these are some of the types of images that were set up. Okay, Esau set his images up. He made themselves into gods, which we still know the names of those false gods today: Mercury, Jupiter, Mars, all this stuff. He named the planets in the sky after the gods as well. And these are all the same things that he did every time he's come back into power, right? We know, just like a lot of this artwork, it comes from the Renaissance, meaning the rebirth of the Roman Empire. All right, and we can see it's going to tell you in the explanation for this particular piece. You got, which Esau, he'll explain a little bit, but then you got to take the knowledge, the things that you know, and you got to fill in the blanks. You know what I'm saying? Because Esau is never going to give you 100% truth on anything. That's just the way this man operates. All right, but in the middle, those two women standing up on the block, which is Greco-Roman style, I believe that's Minerva on the right, and then on the left, that's another symbol as well. Let me go ahead and pull that up. Because these are all. This is what the scriptures talk about. Basically, in his mind, he's gonna say that I'm never gonna go down. It's all true. That's why he pushes these proud images. That's why he pushes, his name to the forefront. Here it is. I went into an art museum, and I was expecting to try to find, different pictures of Jake. And they got this stuff, Edomite supremacist pieces right in your face. It says, and these are all explanations based off the author, not me. It says the Republic, the classical white robe figure in the center, may have adapted from Marianne, the French symbol of reason, liberty, and ideals of a republic. Republic holds a triangle, a symbol for order, balance, and moderation. Next to is Minerva, a Roman goddess of wisdom, poetry, medicine, and commerce. The artist indicated that these two figures represent the American government. And what did they set up as? Greco-Roman figures. All right, just like in the Maccabees, these images that these Greeks were setting up, because these were Greeks who were coming in against us at the time, a little bit before Rome was set up, even though it's the same people. These images that were painted to their likeness were all so-called white people as well. All right, the Greeks were putting up images of themselves, so-called white people, as many things, as God, as the angels, as all these different things, as the even though we know, of course, there's only one Heavenly Father, but you have the Allahayim, meaning the powers, or you could say gods, which created the earth as well. And the scriptures, the law says what? And this, once again, who owns all of these different little museums and stuff? This is so-called Jew, so-called J. Excuse me. This is Amalek. It's Exodus 20:4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Exactly. And what were these Edomites doing? They were creating images to be worshipped. Because brothers might have a picture in their camp that kind of shows for edification what the Lord would have looked like, or maybe what an angel would have looked like. That you see different stuff and different titles. Well, we're not praising those images. We're not, so the image is it's not. We're just showing, what the things look like. You know what I mean? That's all we're doing. We're just showing what it looked like. We're not praising or worshiping anything. Let's see. Yep, graven image, idol, idol, meaning it's something that's set up for you to worship. That's not what we're doing when we have our pictures set up. Those pictures are set up, because again, a picture says 1,000 words. People walk by, their eye might catch on to something that synchronizes with their spirit, and then they'll stay and they'll look, and then maybe they'll ask a question, maybe they'll move on. But going back into it, you also had this particular picture, the genius of America. It says the statue of George Washington, universally regarded as the father of our country. Washington was commander-in-chief of the Continental Army during the American Revolution and the first president of the United States. Below, grateful citizens offer laurel wreaths, symbols of victory, to their hero. So this particular picture was set up as a symbol of victory. All right, and the laurel wreath, that goes back to an ancient world custom. That even goes back before Esau, where different nations had laurel wreaths, which it does symbolize victory, but it symbolizes peace as well. That symbolizes peace. All right. Now, what do you have in heaven? You got these different. You got right behind George Washington. You got these angels. Which that's going off too, man. They're showing angels as so-called white people. Showing angels having so-called leprosy. All right. And then because we're on the right side right now, what do you have? They got the Israelites. They got the Israelites. You can see, and it's not. This is how we know that this man knows who we are according to the scriptures, because not only do you have so-called Judah. The woman kind of got a Benjamite-style head wrap, you can say, but you also got the northern kingdom right next to us, the so-called Gadites. So-called, they could even be, so-called Issacharites. They could be, so-called Manassites. But clearly they're all Israelites, clearly, and we're having to look up. And you can see that they're gazing upon, these different images of Esau that are set up in the middle, and praising. And then you got Esau, if you can see right beneath the statue, it says Bible. It's an Edomite with the Bible, which we know when we were given the Bible, the slave Bible, they took certain pieces and they took certain portions out of it, and then gave us the watered down version of it. And this is what's so dangerous about history, because our people like to say, what this is a white man's book. This is that's a book the white man wrote. He didn't write the book. They just gave us certain parts of the book, which they've never had the full understanding of the Bible. And they've never admitted to having the full understanding of the Bible. They've always maintained that the full understanding was sealed. All right, so that he was giving them the Bible, but it doesn't make sense. They were sitting there trying to use the book that we wrote, our book, as a means to why they can put us in slavery and bondage when we're the people of the Most High. We're the saints. All right, so that argument is null and void. And even these so-called Egyptologists and black consciousness people, they know about the so-called black Jews. All right, they call them that. We're the Jews. We're so-called dark-skinned, and the scriptures tell you that they're black unto the ground. Their word there is kadar. So hey, man, this man knows. This man knows who we are. All right, you got the Israelites right there to the left. Going to the left, you got these different women. Once again, they're holding up that standard, that Greco-Roman standard, those gold poles with which Going back real quick to the Israelites, Salakia, it's talking about in the lower right corner, the liberation of slaves in America is depicted as the white man lifting the Bible up. The minister behind him holds a Bible, converting them. Yeah, no, nobody's lifting us up, man. Nobody's lifting us up. All right, that's bullshit. All right, and people ask, well, there's another question that pops up. If so-called white supremacy is worldwide, then why did they even free us out of slavery? Why did they do that? Well, number one, ultimately it's the mercy of the Most High, which allowed them to do that. But then, number two, in order for them to maintain a clean-cut look and take their empire worldwide, which is prophesied that they would do, they had to clean up, in their own backyard, so to speak, and try to make it look like they were making some sort of advancements in their own country. That's what America's always been about. See, we're advanced. We have the most advancements. And then they could say, well, see, we freed the slaves. See what liberty and justice we can do? And then doing that, they could be serpents around the world and get these other nations to play ball because, they've kind of showed that, well, they did free slaves. They did free their slaves, but they only freed us after they used us to build up certain amounts of wealth, to build up all of these different all of these different industries that they have, right? You got these little Edomite children on the floor. It said the cherubs in the foreground hold symbols of medicine, education, and industry, literature, and art. The fruits and the flowers spilling out of a large vase are symbols of abundance. They're symbols of abundance. Exactly. And all these different things, going back to that, the children, these represents the things that they were going to give to their children, all right, which was never meant for us. So again, man, a picture holds 1,000 words. Some pictures have 1,000,000 words. This is straight up Edomite supremacy in your face. All right, either so-called black, so-called Native American people, so-called Latino people, they ain't standing side to side to these people. We're in the kind of the background. We're into their guys. You can look at the sky above us. On the right side, it's a dark sky. You got birds there indicated, somebody has died, or there's some kind of decaying flesh that they're there to pick. You got that, it's a stand, but it's supposed to be a noose on that stand in the background. I believe that's what that's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a stand when you hang somebody, and that's kind of the war, the darkness, on the right side. And then the foreground, you have, what you have today, the children of this place, and they hold all of these different things in their hands that represents these different industries, which now America is at the forefront of. All right, so these Edomites, they know the game that they've played. They know the setup, because they've sat here and they've gone through, their minds about what they're doing. All right, these Edomites know exactly what they're doing, and then getting to the part in the middle. This is all prophecy that Esau would even do this. The bald eagle was chosen in 1782 as the emblem of the United States because of its long life, great strength, and majestic looks. That's kind of part of it, but more so because of prophecy. Obadiah 1 and 4. Obadiah is about the Edomites, so-called white people. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, because the eagle's been used before, it's been used as symbols before. It's been used here or there. But this man, when they present themselves, they present their nation, that eagle is always there. That eagle is always there. It says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Most High. Exactly. And though, let's go back to the picture. This is the original picture. Yeah, look in the heavens. Look at them with the eagle. All right, and them blowing blowing these trumpets and doing all of this in the heavens. You know, they got this picture they got this statue of George Washington, and this guy George Washington, he was known for taking the teeth of his slaves and then making them into what's it called? Basically making them into denture teeth. He would make dentures out of the teeth of his slaves. That's what kind of decrepit piece of shit that George Washington was. And this is, once again, this is one of the dangers of what Esau has done, man. Changing history, changing things around. The scriptures talk about that, changing the names of places around, changing the time around, the seasons around, the history around. So you don't even really know what happened. You have to sit here and dig. All right. It says flying messengers. Figures flat in flowing robes surround the American flag and proclaim to earth, air, and ocean the glory and might of the successful republic. Yeah, the successful republic. Wait a minute, what does it say? The scriptures say about that? Let's see, Job 5:12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. And that's exactly what's going on right now. Esau's his enterprise is being disappointed. They did all of this wickedness, they did all this evil, all of this stealing and all this killing, and the enterprise is going to be disappointed. They're going to be taken down anyway. All right, so let's just finish up. And again, you can Google search it. Just look up the genius of America. You know, these images will pop up, which show, once again, who Esau was. And this image, I believe it was worth like $100,000 back when it was created. So imagine what it's worth now. You know, it's multi-million dollars. It's in the museum. All right, several states are represented by these classical figures. Yeah, these states are represented by women, right? Just like Jerusalem is represented by a woman. It says what? European immigrants arrive on vessels from many countries and look forward to equality, wealth, and assured social position. And what happened here in America? Even though so-called Israelites took the brunt, we were the workers, right? Esau had us, you know, the Most High put us in bondage under this man, under the curses. What happened? These Edomites from these other nations were able to come here after us, after we did all the work, and they were able to be assured certain social positions. And we're seeing that even to this day. They can come from, you know, even though they all of these Edomites, they're going to war over who's the top dog amongst their nation, but when it comes down to it, they're all together. All right, the Germans, the French, they went to war before. Doesn't matter. When it comes for them, their nation to be on top, they're all together. All right, the British, you know, the Russians, they could come here. Yeah, even the damn, you know, dirty Bosnian, you know, all the people from, you know, Yugoslavia, they can come here and they can be assured certain social positions. Exactly. And this once again lets you know that when they say, you know, use the word America, just like they got it here, it's talking about Esau. That's what they're talking about, Esau. It's talking about Esau. All right. Now here's the last part where they messed up. It says war. The muscular reclining figure in the lower left holds the torch of war, which is extinguished by the water of great American rivers. This was perhaps especially symbolic of the end of the Civil War. And this is the part where they got wrong, you know, because that torch right now, you can see like some kind of crocodile or some kind of alligator, some kind of, you know, lizard in the bottom left corner, you know, right there. You know, you got these people in white. I believe those probably symbolize the dead who died from war. You know, again, Esau's not going to explain the whole image. You got to have some understanding to understand the full thing. But hey, that torch is about to be lit. All right, that torch is lit under this man's ass. They've sat here, they've played this game like this is, you know, the royalties. They've sat up here and set themselves as high as the, as the angels and all of these images, which is written and documented that Alexander the Great, he went down to Egypt and he copied a lot of his information from there. Even though the Egyptians, they got all their information ultimately from the Israelites, back in the time of Joseph and different other times, they got their information from us. In every nation who we've served under, they steal our information too. They steal the things that the Most High has given us too and borrow from it as well, and they're presented as their own. So Alexander took that and then he set up those same gods and goddesses and wicked idols as so-called Edomites, and that's what we see here to this day. And so that's it, man. I'm not gonna even draw it out. It's just crazy, that even to this day these Edomites, they won't admit it. They won't admit it, and they're not gonna admit it. People are waiting for that. Like a movie, the villain gives his final monologue at the end. This was my secret plan the whole time. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. All right. So call Halal Yahweh Yahweh Shai. Hey, if you see anything else in it, leave a comment below. So put your 2 cents in. Lord willing, is edifying for you. Shalom.